jugaron de 43?
Sí, te vamos a seguir jugando de 43, pero ese partido es amistoso, ¿no?
Ah, órale. Ah, bueno. Ah, pues.
And welcome back to the GV podcast. We're on episode 3. I know it may seem a little weird because, I don't know, we had 5 episodes of part 2.
So anyway,
he's Duke and I'm Mayhem, and
we're doing D&D today.
so we thought we'd take a step back, because
That was a long-ass 5 weeks of Cartoon Network.
long-ass thing, so we thought we'd bring it back a little bit, go back
Yes.
to basically what...
Which that was very fun. But we're not talking about Cartoon Network today.
But you should
We're
check it
talking-
out if you haven't.
Yes. Maybe there's a card above, I don't know.
Yes.
But what's happening today is we are doing a video on Dungeons and Dragons. Because I have been playing Dungeons and Dragons since around 2017.
And
I introduced him in
Yeah.
2018.
2018, yeah. I was like, I've been there somewhere.
We ought to start, we have this whole plan, we ought to start with how we were each introduced and what we felt going in. So the way I was introduced was Team 4-Star. You laugh, but that's true.
a good
Team
way to
4-Star,
get put in.
I was introduced to D&D through Team 4-Star with their game TFS at the Table. That was my initial introduction, and I realized the moment I saw it, why the hell did I not do this sooner?
But, like what we were just talking about before, like I was introduced thanks to Duke. Basically, you have that weird stigma about, like, you have this weird stereotype about playing Dungeons and Dragons, which, yeah, but it's not like this terrible thing that's going to corrupt you or anything like that. It's just this, it's this escape that allows you to become these other people. And you do this epic story. But it's basically just, those open world games that you're always like, man, I wish that there was just something more. It's just like, here you go. And you also have all of your friends with you that you can mess around with.
Exactly. So, today, we are not going to talk about anything other than how we have performed as players.
Oh no. I didn't know this was a performance review.
Roll performance. Nat 1, you fail, and I stab you in the stomach.
Thanks, man.
So anyway, Mayhem,
Moving on.
you will be going first with your characters.
Yes.
Because I don't have many characters.
Because that's the problem with being the DM. You kind of are everybody else in the entire game. So, like, I just want to start off with, like, my characters, because it kind of also goes through the story that we kind of had at the beginning. Like, the first 3, they're all kind of connected.
Yeah, they're very much connected.
It was, like, also with having our characters, you guys will be able to see just how crazy Duke's stories go.
I will say that I am sorry for the fact that in my early years as a DM, I was not the best. I will say that anybody who starts out as DM, they're not the best. Me, especially, I was not the best because I basically grabbed any story that I liked at that point and just clashed it together and said, this is good, right? This is good, right? Where is everybody?
Yeah. So we kind of just like that is a good way to get people into D&D, is to bring in things that they like. So my first character was taken after the Elder Scrolls series, Skyrim, because that was the closest thing to D&D that I've ever experienced.
That is actually how I got him in all honesty.
Yeah.
I looked him in the eyes and I said, listen, Mayhem, you can play whatever race from Skyrim you want. And he said,
The lizard?
yes, exactly.
So basically what I did was I just copy-pasted my character from Skyrim.
He made a scaly bastard.
I made an Argonian lizard man called Scales, which is the equivalent of calling a human person skin.
Call them flesh.
Flesh. Which is a terrifying, like, robber and a raider name or some like bandit name or something.
No,
like
it's
that.
the name of the guy who runs the daycare center.
But yeah, so Scale is what he was he was a rogue lizard man, and he basically, with the world that, because like I came into the friend group a little bit later, so everybody had their story going and all that kind of stuff, and we just had to figure out a way to get me in. So what we did was I just came over on a boat onto the continent. I was just like, hey, I'm here now. Well, hello, everybody. I'm here.
Yeah, don't go too deep into the details of the world itself, because I'm not fully proud of that world.
It's just
It was fucking chaos.
I
We
have
erased
to,
it.
I have to for the next character.
Go to the next one. Basically, I will give context of what happened was they had a whole quest that had to do with going to like other worlds based on different properties.
Yep. We just went all copyright
and
with it.
this fucker said, "Okay, I'll do that, but I'm gonna steal one of my characters from Destiny and bring him into my world."
Yep. Like he gave me the rules, and I said, "Bet." So like I brought in an immortal guardian character from Destiny, and
And the moment he walked through, he became mortal and just became a ranger.
nope.
Die, bitch.
So like we went.
Sink or swim, bitch.
So with that character, like we basically went in, got the MacGuffin quest thing that
Bunch
like
of
was
MacGuffins.
reason.
Just so much MacGuffin.
Yeah, and he was the guide character that was there,
Big fuckery.
and he decided to be like, I see this new adventure. I'm gonna jump through. And when he came through, since him and Scales were in the same universe, and they're both me.
I counted it as basically the same logic as like basically two alternate universe counterparts meeting each other, and to make the universe whole, they fused together. And
Yep.
it was yeah.
Yeah, so
It was a story.
they fused together into this character called Falcon, and he was like he was a bit in between of them. Like he wasn't this overpowered immortal being, and he wasn't this like he wasn't he basically was, I have this super powerful move that I could use occasionally.
Well, I guess I should probably mention my character that came up at the same time. So what basically happened was we were at this turning point where not a lot of players wanted to play with this world specifically anymore. So we came up with this whole convoluted Armageddon plan, basically.
It was like a reverse version of Avengers Endgame, where you go across dimensions to save the world. You go across dimensions to destroy it.
So we had basically a thing where each of the people at our table, each of the players got a chance to DM themselves, which that was a cool idea to have it like, okay, I'm going to hand the steering wheel to you guys for each of these games.
Yeah.
I did that for each of them, and anytime I played in their world, I played as a dwarf barbarian by the name of York.
York.
It was a longer name, of course, than York, but York was the shortened name. It's that kind of thing of like where you have like 30 names and it ends up being, but call me Zan.
New York.
That's his rebirth form.
I'm New York.
Now I'm a hipster.
So,
but York was also happened to be because I thought it'd be funny. I spoke to people about this. Luckily, a basically trickster god in disguise that would trigger the whole Armageddon event.
Yeah, this motherfucker, like, he decided to be like, I'm gonna be in every single thing as the same guy. No one questioned it, and it blew up in our faces.
Exactly. You gave me the power. I wielded it.
That's the problem with him being the only one that read the books,
So,
is that he could do that.
going on to the next one. This was the first new campaign that was given to us. It was very, very short, mind you. And it was using a very different system. But what was cool was I got to be a player in it.
Yeah.
And so
I got to participate.
what it was basically a superhero campaign with fantasy creatures.
Which, that is another thing too. D&D, not just fantasy, could also, is like the other big one version of it, is superheroes.
What did you play, Mayhem?
I was the awesome Dragon Quill. That's the name of my superhero. Because we also created the worlds. Like, what we did was, like, we have the globe of the world, add in whatever you want to do. So what I did for my character's background is that I made a new race called the Drake Blood, where they're basically these subterranean, lizard people with dragon wings. And they
Yeah.
basically embodied the Roman Empire, where, sorry for the history lesson, but they circled around the Mediterranean Sea, in which I had a brilliant idea that they followed the Ring of Fire and was all the way around where the Ring of Fire is, around the Pacific Ocean. And their main base was in Hawaii.
Pacific Rim, motherfucker.
Exactly. I mean, hey, that was a pretty good movie.
Well, for me, I just went ahead and this was when I was having trouble making characters, so I was like, yeah, I'll go with this. So I made basically the equivalent of a wild magic sorcerer goblin named Zan. And he was just about that. He was a goblin. He was a bastard child.
And with Dragon
And that was one of the last times I got to play as a player.
You had so many good ideas, though. But you can see, like, when later on, like, my list is almost
His
twice.
list is massive because of how many one-shots we've run.
Yeah, that too. But, like, there are good one-shots. They're
Well,
good.
yeah, there were good one-shots. There were plenty of one-shots where we weren't able to play with in the playground that I built you guys for long. Like there was that Halloween one, all these different ones. But anyway,
I want to talk about Dragon Quill's superpower. So he's this dragon person dude who I made him like 8 feet tall, and I gave him a superpower idea that I had a long time ago, which
does
is
that have
basically
something to do with quills?
yeah. Oh no! Now that you mention it.
Now that you mention
Where he's where basically he's like Wolverine, where he has like the adamantium skeleton and claws, but they're not claws that come out of his hand. They're quills that come out of his back and on his wings and stuff like that.
Mix Blanca with Wolverine, where his hair is the needles.
And dragon person.
And dragon person.
Yeah.
Anyway,
We had another
campaign that came a little later, which what I wanted to go for was basically like give these guys a sort of 50s style suburb that they could just play around in and have a good old nice time. Oh, okay. It changed. But
that
anyway,
did not happen.
tell us about Alonza.
So basically what I made
What
for
would have
that
been her story?
So what I made for that little premise was a character called Alonza. She was a high elf paladin. And that kind of person in a small town setting, and like whenever her character was basically, if she sees any kind of injustice or anything like that, she will fix it.
Appearance-wise, basically think Farah. Think Farah.
Yeah, where she's like this tall lady with a giant suit of armor, and you're just like, oh my god. And she had a pet drake thing. What was it?
Pet guard drake.
Guard drake, yes.
Which was basically the equivalent of a draconic Saint Bernard.
Yes. Oh my god. And one of my missions was to go get him food.
Yes.
About 2 hours later, I finally killed the beast and brought it back home.
That's right. So the problem that happened around this time, honestly, was the fact that there was a lot of shifting around of players so that people weren't able to do as much. People leaving due to the fact that it was like around graduation, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what happened was a bunch of people left, and I thought to myself, okay, I could either just try to explain away that like all these people are just disappearing, or I could try giving them a new playground. And I nuked the world.
Yeah, he literally nuked the world, and so Alonza died, and I was like, dang it!
And I gave her a cool option. Also, I gave you the option: either retire her or continue her character with like some new abilities.
In which I was like, it was an unfortunate decision to kill her, because like
You could have kept her.
I didn't like it.
Then why'd you make a new character? Speaking of Tuco,
so
we'll
the
get
world
to-
was nuked.
the
and
world was nuked by
turned into-
Arcana nukes.
Yeah, the Arcana nukes. So basically, just imagine a fantasy Mad Max.
Yeah, fantasy Mad Max, where I basically gave them this whole thing of you guys live in a very tight-knit community that has seen a lot of hardship lately, and your job is to go to another area and get some stuff there. It was a whole process of like basically Wild West meets post-apocalypse.
Post-apocalypse fantasy world.
Yes.
Which would be an amazing idea for a show.
Which was it was also very fun to see you try out that subclass made by Matthew Mercer, the gunslinger.
Gunslinger, yes. I was a gunslinger bird person.
Yep. He was a bird person
and
by the name of Tuco.
Yeah, Tuco. And
what did you plan for him?
I had no idea where we were going with that. It was amazing just how crazy that world is. Like, there's like this hippo guy that's like a classic hunter person.
Yeah. What did you guys think of that NPC?
I was like, he's absolutely a season 1 villain. Like, he's the first hurdle that comes back later on as an ally. Like, it's so perfect. And there was a thing that happened.
Oh my god. I just realized. We made a hippo character that was 100% like a wacky villain, ends up being a side friend character. Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles did that. Hypnopotamus. I created him first.
We need royalty.
I'm a Sue Nickelodeon real quick.
Yeah. And we're back. We didn't get any money.
We got no money.
And so what happened with Tuco is that we found and fought this giant eagle. And like, I don't even remember what happened. Like, it was a pretty big eagle.
You fought a giant eagle, killed it,
yeah.
and then stole its eggs.
I mean, we took its eggs. I took them, and they hatched, and they were actually like similar to the bird people race. Even though that doesn't make any sense, unless that means that the eagle just found a bunch of eggs and was just like,
it did.
This is mine.
No, it did.
Okay.
That was the whole point. No, that's the thing. I know. It's like, man, you stole this person's children. No, you didn't. You were the second person to steal.
The second person. I was the second person to steal.
Well,
these
maybe
children.
the second. Maybe the third.
We don't know.
You don't know. You didn't question the big bird.
Yeah. So, like, I had these 2 sons.
That makes it sound like your enemy that you fought to get your children was Big Bird.
I'm fine with that.
Same here.
I need that as a Renaissance painting.
But, yeah, no, there was a lot of fun stories you can give of Tuco. Meanwhile, we have one character that was actually a part of a one-shot that was taking place around the same time.
Yeah.
Basically, it took place a little bit after the whole dilemma with the magic nukes.
Yeah.
It was this character by the name of
Gojira.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we get original ideas soon.
But basically what happened was, it was in honor of our friend who had come back from at the East Coast.
Yeah.
He was able to come back for one game, so I gave him a one-shot where it's like, dude, go as overpowered as you want, have fun.
So I was a Leviathan being.
It was a race, a homebrew race, by the name of the Leviathan. Yeah, there was a sub race in there as well of like, you could be this or this. It was a pretty cool race. But it was very cool to see you do that as well. Just, you grabbed all this different homebrew stuff and was like, I'm gonna do this. And it was so badass what you were doing.
And it was a glorious little one-shot, which was a nice little welcome back sort of thing for our friend.
And then once we said goodbye to this world, we went to the next one.